Hello, hello. So now that the flip side of sad is out, I thought it would be fun to read a passage from the book with a twist. So sit back, relax, get a snack, and enjoy this reading. Raindrops pounded on the hotel roof on a dark October morning, and James let us seem to give a whole new meaning to the city that never sleeps. It had been a late night after his CD signing, with another early morning of interviews and promo. His new album had just come out that week after all. A late night and early morning equaled a grumpy James as he stumbled out of his hotel room, his usually styled hair left flat, and his designer shirt replaced with a hoodie. Today was one of the last days of album promo, and James was begging for a break. Should I wear this? Do I look homeless? Will it matter? What will people think? This is New York after all. What am I even doing today? James asked all these questions out loud to himself, staring back at his reflection in the elevator doors as he moved from floor to floor. He hummed along to the music as he landed in the lobby. Some song by a one-hit wonder who won a reality TV show. James knew with promotion like he had done this week, his songs would never end up in elevators. He ran a final hand through his messy hair, walking out of the elevator to the ding of a bell. James' entourage once consisted of just his father-turned-manager, but with fame came things like real suit-and-tie managers, and PR reps and personal photographers, and they all stood gathered in the lobby. They could have been mistaken for some sort of football team, the way they huddled together, coming up with play after play for their MVP. There's the man of the week! His manager's face fell the closer James got. What are you wearing? James looked down at his hoodie and shrugged. Will anyone really care as long as it's James Leto wearing it? Good point. James' manager never missed a beat when it came to sass, and he had a brassy wardrobe to match. Literally. That giant gold wannabe around his finger must have weighed him down 5 pounds. Now follow us. Your first interview is on the 10th floor. His manager waved a hand for James to follow like some trained dog. James spun around as his entourage headed to the elevator. I just came from there! Come on, as soon as this is done, we're all getting breakfast. James sighed, ignoring his growling stomach to catch up to everyone in the elevator. With each floor they passed, James felt like the slow-moving box he was stuck in was going to be symbolic of his day. Slow, but still on the move. The number 10 glowed, letting them know they had reached their floor. As soon as the elevator doors opened, James was hit with the sight of his own face. What had to be the biggest cutout a printer could produce stood in the hallway, James' album cover staring back at him. He took a moment to look at it, something between a grimace and a longing on his face. The entire album was white, some fancy font that read the title The Flip Side of Sad, and a picture of himself plastered in the middle. Happy, smiling, not a care in the world, because this was his new album after being struck with sudden fame. He was pulled from his thoughts when a person opened the hotel room door. Right this way, Mr. Letta. They went from being packed into an elevator to being packed into a little hotel room, a mess of press with microphones and cameras and starstruck eyes. James always felt like he was being watched these days. The interviewer introduced himself with a handshake, and James had stopped saying the whole "Hi, I'm James" thing long ago. Everyone knew who he was now. Records Magazine here with the one and only James Letta. The interviewer spoke into the rolling camera. James flashed the lens a smile, deciding he might as well enjoy the privilege it was to be interviewed by the famous Records Magazine. So the first thing I've got to ask you is, what's it like not needing that dadager of yours anymore? Well, that was short-lived. Dadager had to be the dumbest term James had ever heard. They were seen arguing once while his father took on manager duties when he was just a minor breaking into the music business, and the rumor mill decided his dad was some sort of monster. You know, I'd really just like to talk about the album, James said, trying to stay polite through his tight-lipped smile. Right, so, the flip side of sad. I've got to say, this track list is lit, the interviewer said, then went on to list every single song on the album. After an entire year of writing and recording, James almost hated to admit how sick he was of this album already. So tell me, which song is your favorite? James had answered this question about 50 times that week. He swore his tombstone would read, James Letta, beloved singing sensation. Favorite song was My Kind of Girl. My Kind of Girl has always been a favorite, he said. Also, All About Love was fun to write. I can't help but notice you chose the only 2 love songs on your album as your favorites. The interviewer raised his eyebrows at the camera before turning back to James. Any specific reason why? And here came the dating probes. After one long-distance relationship turned messy breakup and a new dating rumor in the teen magazines every week, James had it with the relationships. For now, at least. But James' simple, nope, only amplified the speculation, just like those songs. The interviewer ended with some dumb this or that game, and before James knew it, they were all back to being piled into the elevator to finally go have some breakfast. Before his music career, James could never afford those dollar signs on a hotel breakfast menu, but his new bank account sometimes made him forget it. It was a quiet breakfast table, his manager always on his phone, and his PR rep wasn't much of a talker, and his photographer loved marveling over his own work on his camera. For the man of the week, James was left feeling pretty isolated. James had one last syrupy bite left, fork halfway to his mouth, when he saw a flash. He froze, turning his head to see a girl at the next table over, her face hidden behind her cell phone. Between one too many packed elevator rides and the gazillionth jab at his father, James was starting his day not in the best mood, so he really didn't need this. But if all that media training had taught him anything, it was to put on an act in front of his fans, so he shot the fangirl a wave and swore he saw hearts bursting above her head. When James noticed everyone else's empty plates, he decided not to even finish his last bite. He was the last one up from the table, letting his entourage lead the way while he whipped out his phone to post his first tweet of the day. His follower account made him do a double take every time he opened Twitter, going from a couple hundred to over 1 million followers, and it only grew by the day. With eyes down on his phone and fingers typing away, James didn't even realize it when he bumped straight into a waiter, a glass of orange juice splashing onto his hoodie. "Sir, I am so sorry," James heard the waiter say while he stared down at his drenched hoodie. "Let me get some napkins. Don't bother," James snapped. Everyone in the restaurant seemed to quiet down, not a single chew to be heard, all eyes on James. James glanced around, a bit calmer when he said, I've gotta go." He ignored the stares and whispers on his way out, throwing up his hoodie, hoping it would disguise him just a little. The rain got louder as James swung through the revolving doors, offering a half-hearted smile to the bellhop who had just tipped his hat to him. He found his entourage at the end of the awning, waiting for a taxi. "There you are!" His manager stopped short at the sight of James' orange-stained hoodie. "What the hell happened to you?" "It's a long story." His manager used tweezer-like fingers to peel a slimy piece of pulp off James' hoodie, flinging it to the ground. "Well, it's a good thing we're headed to a radio station first. No one will see what a mess you are this morning." James took a deep breath, having to remind the devil on his shoulder that he wouldn't be where he was without this man. This insulting, demanding, hard as his manicured nails man. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little reading with a twist from The Flip Side of Sad. The Flip Side of Sad is out now on Amazon. You can get it as an ebook or this cool paperback. So hit like if you liked, and make sure you subscribe because I post new videos every Tuesday, and I will see you all next time.